Hey, what's going on, everybody? Card Chaser here. So today's video, I want to talk about grading. And this is a subject that, in a lot of ways, it can really piss you off. There's a lot of really good qualities about grading, and there's a lot of qualities about grading that just, it drives me crazy. But I want to talk about the four grading companies, PSA, Beckett, SGC, and GMA. When to use them, how I use them, and the purpose of how I use them. And then just kind of talk about them a little bit. But I'll be curious to know in the comments below, what do you guys think of grading? Who do you use? Is there a reason to use a certain company? Or a certain reason why you don't use a company? So the first company we're going to talk about is PSA. They've been around the longest. They're a publicly traded company. They have the best reputation by far, and the highest resale value for the most part. Every now and again you'll get I've sold Beckett's that sell the same as a PSA 10, and I've sold SGCs that sell the equivalent to a PSA. But for the most part, PSAs carry the highest value. So the purpose of grading a card: are you investing? Are you holding the card? Are you grading it to flip it for the resale value? And what makes sense on when and who to use when you're grading. If you're investing and you're going to hold the card, my opinion, PSA, Beckett, and SGC, in that order, would be the companies to use and the way to go. Resale, now if you're looking to get a card graded, because graded cards do sell more than raw, GMA, possibly SGC. SGC would have definitely been a great option for that until recently when their times got really backed up. But the bottom line when it comes to selling cards is you can't sell what you don't have. So, I pull this card out of a pack or I buy this card raw and I want to sell it. I send it off to PSA and I wait 7, 8 months, 6, 7 months. Well, by the time I get it back, the price could have gone up, and it works out for you. Or a lot of times in this industry, in this market, and that's why it's called a market, is because the price has gone down. PSA, their current prices and turnaround times. Now, if you look at their website, they have, 6 different, really 5 different options here. One's a reholder, if you need to send something in to get it reslabbed. But they have a $10 per card, and that's their value option. But you can't use it unless you join the Card Collector Club or the Collectors Club. And then there's an annual fee for that. It's 3 tiers. The lowest is like silver, gold, and platinum, I want to say. The lowest being $59 a year. Then it goes to $149 a year, and the highest being $249 per year. Now within in that Collectors Club, you get some vouchers to send some cards in. But unless you're going through a third party submission, the wait times, honestly, the wait times are what drive me away from PSA. Now, the cards that I'm chasing on my list, my 20 iconic cards, those are not cards. If I were to get one raw, I am not sending a Hank Aaron rookie card to GMA. I'm not sending it to SGC. I'm going to send that to PSA because that's a card that I'm going to hold, and I'm going to hold it for the long term, and I want it to be in that slab. So this isn't a bash on PSA at all. They have the most resale value. If you're grading from an investment standpoint, something you're going to hold, definitely go with PSA. But it's hard to send those cards in when you may not see them for the majority of a year. It's just tough. And then, the economy level that they have at $20 a card, that service is suspended right now. So the next one you go to is regular. It's $50 a card to wait 5 to 6 months. $50 a card. And I know there's maybe people that get on here and say, well, I only waited 4 months. Cool. But for the most part, when I've submitted cards to PSA, I've been waiting about 5 to 5.5 months. And stories out there. You can watch other videos, other YouTubers where they've waited longer than that. But $50 a card? I mean, you got to look at what you're doing with that card. If I want to flip that card, and I've already put $50 into it, yeah, the prices are you're gonna see those sell for higher because I'm not gonna sell for less than 50. So now you really have to break it down. What cards are you sending to them? Which I'm sure is why they did this. They got tired of, being just overrun with maybe players that are hot right now in the moment, but their cards, that interest in the cards and the value in the cards aren't going to hold. So they're just being buried with this. People sending them in, 2019 opening day. Well, it's a nice product. But those aren't typically the cards unless you pull a short print or an autograph. Those typically are the cards that are going to hold the value. So, they just get slammed to that. So I can see why they did it, but they didn't really leave an outlet for people that really want to have PSA slabs at an affordable price. Then you move up to the Express, which is $75 a card. Now, one thing I didn't mention, so the Express, that's for cards with a maximum declared value of $2,499. The regular at $50, that's for the maximum declared value of $999. Economy at $20, which is not available right now, the maximum declared value is $499. And then the value at $10 a card, which if you're in the Collectors Club, you can utilize that. It's a 20 card minimum though. So you're not sending in just 5 cards. You're sending in $20 or 20 cards minimum, and the maximum declared value is $199. So with that being said, the second, well, I'm not really putting these like in order. I think that's the best. This is just the order that I put them in. The next company is BGS. Now, the thing about BGS, I think the company itself has been around longer than PSA. If you remember back, I'm old enough when I started collecting, that was how you determine the value of your cards, is you bought the Beckett magazine and the price guide and tore through the pages, and that's how you determine how much the value of your cards were. So then after a PSA comes along, Beckett naturally moves into grading. And there's been some issues with these guys. And there's been some issues with the PSA, right? I'm not going to make this a 2-hour video talking about all of their issues. PSA had the card trimming scandal. Beckett, I just actually read an article today that there is a fake 86 Flair Jordan rookie and a Beckett 9.5 slab that was fake. And there's been quite a few fake slabs out there. And the way you can tell is on that serial number down below. But, I think the article says someone paid $25,000 for this card, and it turned out to be a fake. And then you have the issue with the employee or somebody that had a connection to Beckett who were kind of printing off their own black labels and slabbing their cards. I don't know all the details about that, but there's been some issues with them, which, they should be held accountable for that forever. They should be able to make a mistake, own it, and move past it. But, much like PSA, you send a card into Beckett and you need to be prepared to wait. And you need to be able to be prepared to pay a little bit for that service. So their service levels. Now, Beckett, obviously everybody knows you can get the subgrades, as you can see on this. So the centering, edges, corners, and surface, which a lot of collectors don't like because, you can get a 9.5 and not have all 9.5s. And then, a lot of people call those fake gems. But their premium service, which was previous the 2-day service level, is now 5 to 10 days. That's $125 a card. So the cards you're sending into that service, it better be a stud if you're going to spend $125 to get that card graded. And there are definitely cards out there that people have that, there's cards I'd pay $125 to have it graded and have it back in 5 to 10 days. Now you can do that same service with no subgrades, and it costs $50. Just whatever your preference is, if you want the subs or no subgrades. Then they have the Express, which is previously the 5-day service level, which is now approximately 10 to 15 plus business days. If you get the subgrades on it, that's $100 a card. If you get no subgrades, it's $40 a card. I actually used this service recently for this Luis Robert, this 2020 Topps Archives Purple, numbered out of 175. I did that at the $40 Express service. There's no subgrades on it. The old Beckett labels had the subgrades on the back. The new ones have them down here. I did not get subgrades on it. I don't really think it's needed to get subgrades, but that's kind of what separates Beckett from the rest. Then you have a standard service level, which from 1 to 50 cards is $40, 51 to 99 is $35, 100 plus cards is $30 a card. And that was previously a 10-day turnaround. Think about that, 10 days and you get your cards back. That is now, according to their website, approximately 5+ months. That is ridiculous. And their last category is they have economy, which is 30, 25, and 20. So 1 to 50 cards is 20 and on up, 25 and $20. Then if you don't get subgrades on that service, it's $15 a card, $12 a card, and $10 a card. That was previously a 30-day service level. And according to the Beckett website, that is approximately 7+ months. Well, if you're sending these in to flip, what the hell's the point of waiting 7+ months to get your cards back? It's a market. This market moves really quickly. So you stand to lose selling opportunities if your cards are sitting at the graders. Now, as I said before, there's definitely a place for the PSAs and the Beckett's. I use them. It's not a bash on them. But if I want to sell a card, I can't wait 7 months. The market moves too fast for that. I mean, is that 7 months time frame? That card could have been up, down, back up a few times over. And if you're missing selling opportunities, well, I mean, then what's the point? If that's what your goal is to sell. Okay, now the next company is the company that I use the most. The majority of the cards that you see me show on this channel is SGC. Now, I personally like the holders. I like the tuxedo holders. They're older holders. I think I have one here. I do have one here, and it's probably the coolest card in my collection. I love this card. This Dr. J. They're older holders. Yeah, I didn't like them. I didn't like the numbering system on them. I didn't like the green border on them. But I'm going to use that anymore. This is what the holders look like. For whatever reason, SGC still does not get the respect in the hobby I feel they should. They have better prices. They have a little bit better turnaround time. They used to have really good turnaround times. That has suffered a little bit right now. But they're the standard for vintage grading. If you're going to send a card in, it's a vintage card, you want to get it graded, I don't think you're going to find a lot of people argue with you if you say, hey, I'm going to send it in to SGC over PSA or Beckett, and then obviously Beckett has the BVG, the Beckett vintage grading. Most people will agree that SGC is the standard for vintage cards. So seriously, you're going to tell me they're the standard for vintage cards, but we don't trust them to grade a modern card. That's just ridiculous. It's crazy. It just seems to me that there's so much money tied up in the market in PSA that people don't want that to be disturbed. And honestly, I mean, if I had that type of money tied up, if I had those type of cards and that type of money tied up in PSA slabs, I wouldn't want it to be disturbed either. And you have a lot of influencers out there, other YouTubers that, you know, the Sports Card Investor, if you watch any of his videos, Filmington, there's a lot of those people out there. They kind of, it seems to me, my opinion, is they kind of go out of their way to disregard the other grading companies. You know, it just seems to me like it's PSA or nothing with those guys, and I just don't think that's the case. This hobby's big enough to have more than 2 to 3 grading companies. But SGC's prices and turnaround times have suffered. So right now, if you have a declared value of $500 or less, it's $15 a card. Their turnaround times are 65 to 70 days. And I can tell you that's not really true. You will typically probably be waiting 85 to 90 days on that $15 order. Now, I think some of the problems that cause this to suffer is you have these large, these groups, these subgroups, where you can send people your cards and they'll send in these bulk orders. And I believe, I don't know this to be a fact, but it just seems to me that the grading companies are taking priority over than, I still have like a 30, I think it's a 36 card order that's been setting at SGC for almost 4 months now. Is what it is. But if you want 1 to 2 day turnaround service on that declared value of $500 or less, it's going to cost you $100 per card. So think about, you spent $100 to get that card back quickly. If you plan on selling that card, man, that thing better be a $600, $700, $800 card, or it doesn't even make sense to sell it, right? And I'm sure, I know people know that, and that's probably what they're using it for. That's what I'd use it for. If you have a declared value of $1,500 or less, the 60 to 75 day turnaround time is $35 a card. Then 1 to 2 days, again, is $100. If you have a declared value of $3,500 or less, that 65 to 70 day turnaround is $85. And again, the 1 to 2 days is $100. And then from there, it keeps going for a little bit. You can get all the way up to, if you have a $100,000 card, it's going to cost you $3,750 to have it graded. But I'm not going to really spend a lot of time talking about that. But I think for the money, SGC is the way to go. I like their holders. Personally, I think their holders look the best out of any of the companies. Just my opinion. They make mistakes. You see, like, a lot of times, I don't think this slab, sometimes the slabs will kind of get this. I don't know if you can see this, but it's almost like I don't know if it's condensation in the slabs or what. And I've had some of the slabs come back where this piece of paper is not seated all the way in there and it's sliding around inside the holder. But for the most part, I just think the tuxedo slab is the best looking out there. It just seems ridiculous to me, and this is not how I sell my cards. I don't sell my cards this way. I'd rather not sell the card. But this, this Jordan, this 91 Flair Jordan in an SGC 9, if I was to sell this and I go look at the comps and a PSA 9, I don't know what it sells for. Let's just say it's selling for $50. I'm selling this for $50. That's what I'm listed at. And you will get absolute screwball offers on it if you set it up that way that you accept offers. But to me, it's about the card inside the holder that I'm buying. It's not the holder. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But with anything, it's like anything, it becomes trendy. PSA is trendy, so they can buy more money. And they've been around the longest, and they have the most credibility in the hobby. I get that. But the last company out there, a lot of people don't give them a lot of respect, and that's fine, is GMA. Now, GMA's been in business for like 15 years. And there's a lot of people out there, they say, they're garbage, they grade fake cards. Every single grading company, all 4 of them, have issues. Every one of them. So it's just annoying when you hear people try to pick apart GMA, but they never want to bring up the issues that other companies have. And you hear a lot of times, they only pass out 10s. That's absolutely not true. And I can tell you that firsthand because I've submitted quite a few cards to GMA. They do not come back all 10s at all. Now, I honestly, this is the first card I came across when I was going to pull a GMA slab out. And I could go get a 10. But this is the one I had. It's a 9. And when you ask people, what do you feel that they give out all 10s? And a lot of times what you'll hear is, well, look at eBay. Everything for sale on eBay is a 10. Yeah. because no one respects the company. Why would I put a GMA 9 or 8 out there for sale? No one's going to buy it. Or you're going to get such an absolute ridiculous lowball offer that crack it out of the case and sell it raw. And that's what a lot of people say. You know, they're worth raw cards. They're not. This card's encapsulated. It's protected. It's verified authentic. They will grade reprints. So will the other companies, but they will grade reprints. And they will grade non-licensed reprints, which hurts them. And I really wish they wouldn't do it. But the sticker says that. They don't try to, they don't, from my experience with the company, they don't knowingly try to pass off non-licensed fake cards as authentic. Has some ever got through? Yeah, I'm sure they have. I mean, but PSA was trimming cards and selling them for huge amounts. You know, I wouldn't rather either one of them happen, but whatever, you know, PSA is in cahoots with a big auction company, and they're trimming cards and then selling those cards for just huge dollar amounts. No one seemed to care. I mean, it got talked about, you know, they wrote a few articles about it, but didn't hurt their business at all. So it's just hard for me to take anyone seriously when they want to bash GMA with all the other issues going on with these other companies. And you're always going to have issues. There's not a company out there that doesn't have issues. I don't care what your company is, what your business model is. Every company has issues. So you can submit to GMA for $8 per card. And that's actually gone up. The last order I sent to GMA was $3.50 per card. But it's gone up to $8. I know during COVID, they stayed open when a lot of places didn't, like back at PSA and SGC. And they took some business, and they're growing. I mean, they have been in business for 15 years. They're based out of Florida, and their business is growing, so the price has gone up. So it's $8 per card, 25-day turnaround. My last submission, I think it was a 7-day turnaround, and I never had an order come back late. But as they get busier, as they grow, their turnaround times have suffered as well. So it's 25 days, $8 per card. If you want a jersey card, it's $8. Autographed cards, but it has to be a certified or pack auto, are $20 per card. Now, the reason I bring up GMA is for the folks out there that want to sell cards, why wouldn't you use GMA? I can't sell a card setting at PSA, BGS, or SGC. Just can't do it. I mean, I could tell everybody I have that card there, but it's not. You can't sell it. So this card right here, this was part of an order I just sent to them. I have so many of these 87 tops Canseco's. I have like 7 sets of 87 tops. So I sent some in just to see what the grades were going to be. Turnaround times, it was $3.50 a card. I don't have any plans on selling this. I mean, it's not a very valuable card to begin with. But this was part of kind of a test order just to see what their holders looked like, what the turnaround time was like, what the customer service aspect of the business was like. So that's how this card ended up in a GMA slab. But I think my plan going forward, as I'm trying to liquidate cards so I can get through this list of 20 cards that I want to buy, is I'm going to start using GMA again. I've actually sold every single card that I sent to GMA that I wanted to sell. I sold. I absolutely 100% did not sell them for PSA prices. But I had the card back. I didn't have as much money invested in the card. So yeah, I may have sold it for less. But what was my total cost of the card? I mean, if I pull a card out of a pack, kind of hard to tell because you'd have to do the math based on how many cards are in the pack, how much you paid for the pack to know. But let's just say, I mean, if a card costs, if you break it down, the card you're going to send off costs 30 cents because you pull it out of a pack. You can get it graded for $8. It's not a card you want to keep in your collection. It's a card you're going to flip. And say a PSA 10 is selling for $100. I get that GMA 10 back, and I'm going to sell it for $75. I mean, I've sold a lot of GMA cards. I know for a fact what I can get out of them. I'm not going to get PSA prices. I'm not going to get BGS prices, but I'm going to get really, really close to SGC prices. So let's just, I mean, if I sell for 75 bucks, 75, 80 bucks, I've got the card back. I've sold it. I've reinvested that money into something else. It just seems like a smarter business move if you're trying to flip cards. Selling raw cards is so risky. I've been burned many, many times selling raw cards. I don't like to do it. So I'm really thinking GMA is going to be where I go. And the cards I'm going to send to GMA are kind of the hot cards. You know, maybe it's not a player that you want to hold long term. It's not something you think is a long term investment into a card, but it's a popular card right now. I can have that thing off, graded, back to me, on the market, sold, before an order at PSA, Beckett, or SGC would even get processed and checked in. And your clock doesn't start until that happens. You may have cards sitting there for 2 weeks before they get scanned in. So not only are you waiting 7 months, you're also waiting that 2 weeks for them to scan it in because the clock hasn't even started yet. So you're going to have these cards graded back to me. I feel better about selling graded cards. I think people buying cards feel better when they buy graded cards. So for those cards that I want to sell, I'm really thinking GMA is the way to go. Now, in no way am I saying, you know, if I was to buy the 2011 Topps Update Mike Trout, if I was to find an absolutely, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, it's an authentic card, it's legit. I'm not sending that to GMA. I'm sending that to PSA. You know, the 93 SP Derek Jeter. I'm not sending that to GMA. I'm not advocating for that. That's not what they are. I don't think that's what their business. I mean, sure, they'd grade it, but it wouldn't really make real good business sense on my end to send that type of card in. I did send a Tom Brady rookie card into GMA. It was the Fleer Traditions. It's not the most sought after card of his, and it was horribly off center. Horribly off center. Pack pull, I pulled it, and I just knew the card was not going to grade well, so I sent it into him just to see what the grade was going to come back at, and I don't have it. I think it came back as a 7. Kind of blew the everybody gets a 10 notion out of the water, but you know, and that's a card I might crack out. I have this Michael Jordan card. I actually bought it in a GMA holder, the 88 Flair Michael Jordan in a 6.5. I might spend a little more time going over this card. The edges here are kind of rough, but this is a card that I will probably crack out of this case and send that in probably to SGC, just because I really don't think it's going to grade real high, and I just like the way the SGC holders look. But you know, this is not a card that I want to keep in a GMA case, but I felt good buying it in a GMA case. So that's kind of my rant. I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about the grading companies? There's a new one, and I don't really know a lot about them. I can't even think what their name is right now, but they're more known for the comic book and coin space. They're trying to get into the card grading game. They're going to be using some artificial intelligence to grade them. So I'm really excited about that. I think that's long overdue in the hobby and in the world of grading. But we'll see. I don't know much about them. But as they come online, I'll probably send an order to them just to see kind of what they're about. I know I've seen pictures of their holders. I don't really care for their holders that much. But the artificial intelligence being used in the grading process really appeals to me, because it takes a lot of the human. I mean, because you can look at any of the 4 grading companies and look at their cards and their slabs and think, how the hell did that card get that grade? There's no way. It's off center, you know, left to right, top to bottom, whatever the case may be. The corners are soft. So bringing artificial intelligence into this, I think, is much overdue and much needed. So once I don't think they're accepting cards, but I probably will be sending an order into them once they get up and running. I'm just not going to listen to what everybody says. I'm gonna judge for myself, and the only way to do that is to submit an order. So that's my rant. There's my take on the 4 grading companies. Guys, please, it really helps the video out. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I should be actually getting an order back from SGC. I'm hoping here in the next week and a half to 2 weeks, and excited to show you guys those cards. I'll be getting out another video of some recent sales that I've had. I'll be getting that out here real soon. But I hope everybody has a great night. I hope everybody has a great Tuesday tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.